Gospel of September the 5th, 2016, a reading from the Holy Gospel according to Luke. On a certain Sabbath, Jesus went into the synagogue and taught. And there was a man there whose right hand was withered. The scribes and the Pharisees watched him closely, to see if he would cure on the Sabbath, so that they might discover reason to accuse him. But he realized their intentions, and said to the man with the withered hand, "Come up and stand before us." And he rose and stood there. Then Jesus said to them, "I ask you, is it lawful to do good on the Sabbath rather than to do evil? To save life rather than to destroy it?" Looking around at them all, he then said to him, "Stretch out your hand." He did so, and his hand was restored. But they became enraged and discussed together what they might do to Jesus. Gospel of the Lord, praise to you, Lord Jesus Christ. Let us take a peek of the first reading from the first letter of St. Paul to the Corinthians. It is widely reported that there is immorality among you, of a kind not found even among pagans, a man living with his father's wife, and you are inflated with pride. Should you not rather have been sorrowful? The one who did this should be expelled from your midst. You are to deliver this man to Satan for the destruction of his flesh, so that his spirit may be saved on the days of the Lord. All right, what do we see today? Well, I would like to start pointing out the radical way of Paul about this man who by some incredible means has been able to garnish the wife of his own father, not his mother, as I believe it, but the wife of his father. That would have been his stepmother. And it doesn't matter whether she was nice, beautiful, young, whatever. But if she had been his father's wife, it was absolutely forbidden for him to do that. And it is radical. Expulse him from within you. Deliver this man to Satan, that he might be expelled from your midst. Nowadays, we condescend with so many outrageous things, especially in the United States, where it seems like every young lady, she being 12 years old, can have legally an abortion in many states, and even their parents might not need to give permission, even though she is underage. That is what we have to thank the government of Obama for. Will that really save the lives of the children? Is that not really an enticement for such children to start having sex earlier and earlier? And in the same way, is that not also an enticement for older people to even abuse younger women? Children, I would say, I would call them, for they really are children. But we condescend. We condescend even to the point where we see a homosexual man perhaps even adopting a young boy, and we do not even think what he might do in their home. Yet, time and again we see the troublesome stories that those children are being abused regularly, not once, but regularly abused. And we don't care. That is not the Christian way. Absolutely, it's not the Christian way. I can only imagine what happened, for example, with the lawyers that were looking at that terrible time around 1992, 1994, 96. All the lawmakers that agreed to change the law, for example, on insurance. That they agreed in the United States to create an insurance for credit, which is basically fraud. Then we have had at least a couple of bubbles burst in real estate, and millions of people worldwide being financially devastated. And the lawyers and the accountants, didn't the people think about it? They didn't care. But St. Paul is very clear, expulse them, even deliver them in the name and with the power of the Lord Jesus to Satan for the destruction of his flesh. But not for the destruction of the person, but only of his flesh, that his spirit may be saved. When we turn our backs to those people that do wrong, we basically are helping them. But we also risk what Jesus risked. He entered the synagogue on a Saturday, fully knowing in advance that he was going to find that man with the withered hand. And the central question of the gospel today is, what is permitted? What is lawful to do on the Sabbath? Good or bad? When we make believe, when we appear to be, but we are not on the side of God, then we are very good at keeping the codes, at keeping the laws. But they have forgotten the first and the second commandments. You shall love God with all your heart, with all your life and all your strength, and your neighbor as yourself. They don't want to do that. They don't care for this withered hand man. If he can be hidden, that's all right. But he puts us before them, and he puts us before us, so that we might look at it and see in our hearts, what are we going to do? The Lord chose to tell him, stretch your hand. And by saying that, he didn't break the law, even though the others thought that he did, but he delivered him from his suffering. For that, he gained to be destroyed. He gained to be murdered on the cross. Are you willing? Are you brave enough to stand up for Christ and your brothers? We need to stand up. It is the time. It's always the time while we are in this way, in this world, approaching fast the day when we might be before the Lord to be judged. Until we meet in heaven, God bless you all, brothers.